Hello, Galactic Travelers. How's everybody doing? It's kind of a crazy energy day. So if you're not aware, it's a great, great energy day. Yeah. But on the good side, Mars is aspecting me in some way because I've just been ready to go all day, getting myself in gear, getting a logo set up, getting the website set up, because, you know, it's time. Gotta get up and move. On the good side, right? But there's a bunch of stuff hitting Pluto, and I don't even know anymore. I can't even keep up, to be honest, because there's so much happening. So if you're having a bad day, that's why. So as above, so below, so let it go, let it go, let it go, right? I'm gonna have a hard conversation today, and I'll be honest, I'm a little anxious about it. And it really freaking sucks that I am. We're gonna talk about RH negatives today. A lot of information is coming out with disclosure, right? We know that RH negatives in the past, the ones that are now getting highlighted, that is, have not been the nicest beings on the planet. They've set up some enslavement. There's a lot of disclosure going on. You know, here's the thing, guys. And this is why we need to talk. Because the presidents have always been RH negative. It's just now that we're putting it all together, you know. Us in the RH negative community have been talking about this for years. I know I have. And, you know, when information is new to large groups of people, then immediately what happens is what, you know, we start looking at the differentiators, and I'm not that, and you know, it might be depicted as RH negatives having all this power and they've abused it. And I'm not saying that there aren't ones who have. And hell, I'm not saying that in another dimension, in another time, in another energy, that I wasn't doing the same thing. You don't know what you were and what you were doing in those other dimensions either, right? So I got to give you a little back information, right, about me. Don't you want to hear about me? Us, right? So I was an adopted rape baby, and this is important, and this isn't to make anybody feel sorry for me, because trust me, you know, that was the big one that I had to release judgment, and I love the entire situation. But it's important for this video on RH negatives, because it's important that you guys understand, because of my mission here and because of my life plan, being an adopted baby was the reason I've been researching RH negatives since I found out I was RH negative, you know, when I was 16. So, you know, that was back in the 90s. So then we got blessed with the internet, and then you still couldn't find much information. But see, for me, it wasn't just I was an RH negative, right? And we all have these things in our plans, because there's a reason that we're supposed to be researching it sometimes when we're not awake, right? I mean, that's part of our plan. That's part of our mission. That's part of the information that we need to have. And in my case, it's part of the evolution of the information that now I'm sharing. It was always really important for me to try to find somebody that I could identify with, because I was so different than my family. Not in a good or bad way, just different. You know, I thought different. I acted different. I reacted different. And so I spent, you know, a lot of my life reacting, most of my life, let's just be honest, all my life until about 8 months ago. trying to fit in and trying to make sure that I reacted the right way and so I could be accepted. So researching this information was a big deal. There wasn't a lot of information on RH negatives, to be honest, until about, I would say, a year ago. And then about 6 months ago is when we saw a huge boom of information. Now, this makes sense when you look at the ascension process and awakening, because what's happening quite literally is that we're putting this information in the internet. There's not a lot of information on RH negatives because it's been this huge kept secret. And it's been this huge secret about your blood type, my blood type, your blood type, your blood type, your blood type, everybody's blood type. Do you know what yours is? Isn't that an interesting question? Why don't we know what it is? Because when we're born and we have a baby, we got to get a social security number before we can take our baby out of the dang hospital. So then why don't we know what our blood type is? It's because the elite, the Illuminati, the Draco, whatever you want to call them, didn't want you to know. Because then you might realize that you have some extra little gifts. Now, this is important. Because in the old energy and the way that we used to communicate with each other, if anybody was extra special in some way and didn't have a title and wasn't on a movie screen and didn't drive a Rolls Royce, then you were bragging. Or somebody was jealous and passed judgment immediately because they didn't understand what the difference was, and then they automatically think that whenever someone says something that they see, their perception is it's a positive light, that all of a sudden, you know, they're judging you for telling them something different. We know this, right? So we're not doing that anymore. That's out. And we're going to have a conscious conversation about RH negative blood and what it means in reference to ascension and awakening. Most of you already know the big stuff, right? So I'm not going to go into, you know, how RH negative mothers can't have babies without intervention sometimes, and that could be a myth. I'm not even sure. It could be a reason to take the ROGAM shot, you know, that we were told, right? We're still figuring a lot of this stuff out. But we do know for sure that, you know, we weren't supposed to crossbreed as far as nature goes. Well, but the ROGAM shot was created. And this is such a hard topic for me. It's such a hard topic. This is a hard topic for every RH negative, I'm telling you. Let me just tell you what, for me, I'm an AB negative. There's not much information out there about AB negatives. O negative is the biggest population of negative blood. And then I think it's A or B, and then AB for sure is the most rare. Not exactly sure where any of the lineage came from, since, you know, I told you my story, so I can't track even my heritage and genealogy, which I know is another part of my plan, FYI, so I'm not pissed off about it. In the ascension and awakening process, when an RH negative is born, see, and this is where we get screwed up, your soul is RH negative. Your soul, not your flesh suit. Now, your flesh suit becomes RH negative, but whenever you're born, you know, everybody on the RH negative sites, which I've been on for a while, you know, different Facebook sites, and they're great sites. They're great Facebook groups. If you're RH negative or you're not, you know, whatever, if you want to learn about it, you can jump on some of those sites and people talk about it. You know, we RH negatives have some different qualities. And most of it is because we are basically have copper blood. And what does that blood do? That blood is a higher conductor of energy. So let's look at evolution and what's going on right now. And let's look at why we were seated here. It's said that one activated light worker, StarSeed, could be negative, could be not, because I'm going to get to that, because if you're not RH negative, please stay tuned, because this video is for you guys. One activated StarSeed, which doesn't have to be RH negative. Each one of us has StarSeed lineage, or else we'd still be living in a cave right now. Can transmute energy, dense negative energy, for 70 million people. 70 million. Now this leads me to another conversation with Joshua. Not exactly sure exactly what his name was. We know that he's real. I call him my brother. Not exactly sure what bloodline he came from. There's some that say he's AB negative. There's some that say he's O negative. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This is the galactic perspective of this. This is why this conversation is so important. When he gave his body, and whenever he called on his Father that he was ready to take his soul, he had transmuted the energy of all those people in his region. And this is why we celebrate him. This is why we learn his teachings. Because if you go back and read what he's saying, just what he says, and think about it in terms of ascension and awakening, you're gonna see a lot of similarities. Jesus definitely was an RH negative. Before his time, the pharaohs were negatives. Now let's skip to Egypt, because lately I've heard some falsities about Egyptians as well. You know, we can't sit here and talk about Egypt and how they lived and call those people that worked on the pyramid slaves, because we weren't there. And guess what? It was the old energy. The old energy that's now the new energy. What do I mean? I mean the age of Libra. The age of Libra was during the Egyptian times. And it was the new energy that we have now that's come in with the precession of equinoxes. Massive amounts of all of humanity is somewhat affected by ascension and awakening right now. Whether they not they admit it, they are. We are living in new energy. Quite literally, you can change things around you by loving it. Now don't think I'm crazy until you tried it, and we'll do some videos on this. But it is a new energy. We all know the age of Aquarius is coming. Did we just think that it was just going to plop over and nothing was going to happen? Then what's the point of ages, right? So where am I going with this? This is where I'm going with it. 70 million people, one person ain't going to cut it right now. Doesn't mean that RH negatives think that they're better. Some of them do. The ones that are fully embodying the process, that have worked through the negative emotions, that have come to a purity of heart, that are starting to manifest realities. Those of us that have done the work absolutely do not think we're any better. In fact, I'm going to tell you some little stats about RH negative so I can explain to you why we were seated here for this time. So many of us reincarnated on this planet from other star systems to be here just to bring a signature frequency to the planet and to the humanity, to bring back this past knowledge of how to live in this new world of heaven on earth, of Christ consciousness. Because we have higher conductive bodies, right? Let me tell you the good things first. The good things are, yeah, we have a better telepathy. A lot of us have clairaudience, clairvoyance, especially the clearer that we get, the more work we do on the body, and releasing all of this old energy and all these negative emotions, then, you know, you're able to tap into those things too. Anybody can do this, not just RH negatives, but this is what I'm talking about right now. But it's so important that you understand that if you're not RH negative, it doesn't mean you can't awaken, you can't go through the ascension process, because people in my tribe members, my family, man, they are so more pure than I am, and they're not RH negative. They didn't let it stop them. But why are we here? We're here because each one of us has about 70 million people that we have to process energy through. RH negatives also tend to come from broken families. They tend to be adopted. You know, I've been on the sites and Facebook, and we've been through some shit. RH negatives live more lifetimes within a life. Not just more lifetimes of reincarnation, and we've been doing it longer because our souls are just older beings. They've mastered different parts of our astrology charts and got lessons to learn always. It's not like we're the master of anything. You can be a master too. It's what Jesus told us to do, isn't it? Be our own master. Don't worship me, he said. You can do it too. So besides some of the telepathy things we have, the other things, you know, are that we're misunderstood. A lot of us are just now realizing that that's why, just because the information has just been available. So, you know, I mentioned adoption. I would say at least, I don't want to say percentages because I don't want anybody to get all caught up in that, but I can tell you out of the research that I did and the people that I asked on the websites, it was at least 70% of us. 70% of us had either a broken home, crazy abuse from parents, crazy abuse from spouses, crazy, you know, just horrific situations, death experiences, dying in their sleep at night over and over every single night. These are all part of the dimensionality, right? Because if we go back to that and we really think about, we're all one, we all come from source. I'm basically talking to myself right now. Then the really only difference is that RH negatives have reincarnated and been through ascension on other planets, typically. Like I said, everyone has starseed origins. Every one of us has starseed origins. Our evolution, we got some upgrades, and we're getting more now. We got some way back when. We would have still been Neanderthals. So every single one of us, and on our charts, you can chart this and you can find it out. sunsolastrology.tv, quantum astrology, those are tribe members. I trust them. I'm only going to ever give you who I trust. They can do starseed readings. And if you follow astrology long enough, you know, with sunsol.tv, you're going to pick up the degrees on yourself, and you can work it out yourself with the degrees and where the planets are, right? Because it all lines up with geometry, because we are sacred geometry, because we're not even really here. I'm saying all this again because I'm trying to take the personal human out of this as I speak to you about it, because it's so very important. RH negatives came back here over and over and over. And we are here with missions. And we are literally, those of us who are working the process, those of us who are at this point right now, those of you RH negatives that are watching right now and know that you have a calling and know that you know what I'm talking about. We can't put each other in boxes anymore. That's what they did to us. That's what the Dracos did to us. They came in and they put us in boxes. They separate us all up. They changed the languages. They don't want anybody to talk to each other. They want everyone to fight over borders and land. They want you to fight with me because you think that I'm better than you because I'm telling you about this. And I'm telling you that's bullshit. That's old energy. And it's not the way we're thinking anymore. Because those of us who know the truth know that we've sacrificed and sacrificed because of humanity. Because these gifts that Jesus told us about, because of these gifts that we have, we know every human on this planet can have them. We've talked about karma before on another video, and you know, karma is something that right now you can drop, you can get rid of. I have. But StarSeeds and RH negatives, we have a lot more karma to clear to get to this point because we've lived more lives. We live more cycles of lives. Karma is carried around. Karma in a past life, in the old energy of this life and past lives, if you want to think of it in reference of time, other dimensions, if you want to think of it quantumly. What happens with karma, one of the things, is that whenever you're in a lifetime and you've reached a point of enlightenment or spiritual growth, that you low narger. Thank you, Mercury. You no longer, I did it again. You no longer are growing spiritually, then your body seriously, what it does is it sends a trigger and says, all right, it's time for her to go. We got to get out of here, get the show on the road because we got to get back and we got to keep going, right? And so right now in this energy, we no longer need to do that for the first time in human history. Ascension and awakening is basically going through the process of rebirth in your body. That's why I talk so much about you got to bring your body. You got to bring your body. You can't just live in the OBEs. You can't just live in the astrals. You got to bring your body. You can do that. That's your free will. That's your choice. no one's going to stop you. Might have some lifetimes to come back and work it out, but you can do it, okay? And so this leads us back to blood. This is why it's a big secret. This is why StarSeeds were here planted. The only reason, guys, is because our souls have been through it before. And a lot of us, you know, like me, for instance, I know I've been on an ascension team. I mean, all these things that have happened since my shock activation, it's been 8 months. And I'm chugging along, and innately I trust myself now. I know what I'm doing. I've been laying out a plan for myself that I didn't even know consciously I was doing, subconsciously. You know, I look back and I'm like, holy crap, you know what happened this morning? Things just come together. So I've got some experience in this. RH negatives were seated here. There's many of me like me out there. I'm not the only one by any means, because we got 70 million times what to transmute, and that's for every activated StarSeed Lightworker. If you're not activated, and I'm still activating, this is just the beginning of this stuff, right? I mean, this is a whole process that we're gonna be working through the rest of this lifetime, a couple of generations, and I'm coming back, trust you me, because I'm seeing it all come to fruition, because we're just starting. Here's my point. Without the RH negatives on the planet and their blood that can receive these energies and transmute them into love, into light, and ground them into Gaia, we wouldn't be having this situation right now. Even if you're an RH negative, or you're a star, if you're a StarSeed or an RH, which all of you are grounding energy. Some of us process more energy through our physical vessel, especially when it's cleaned out of all the crap. That's what we're here for. There's literally races of starseeds that are here just for that. They're just here to hold space. They're just here to transmute energy. We're living in a time where me, Cosmic Christy, sitting on her little bed. This is my bed, by the way. It's funny, right? I'm sitting on my bed having this video, and guess what? In some ways, you could say I'm just as powerful as who? Who do we think's powerful? Trump? Okay. You too. Isn't it cool? So all this talk, all these people, and I'm sorry, I'm getting angry because I was called a nutcase and a crazy bitch and all kinds of stuff yesterday because I was speaking out. Because as it comes out that, we got Draco reptilians running the planet, then it's starting to come out, Obama was AB negative, Trump AB negative, O negative. Every president in the history but the fourth president was a negative bloodline. A negative bloodline ruled by who? Are we having this conversation about Hollywood? Because I'm sure if we went and dug up their blood types, we'd find a lot too. The evolution of RH negatives in this lifetime, it's a crazy conversation because this information was suppressed. I'm 70% of people don't even know what their blood type is. So number one, go find out. Go find out, because if you are RH negative and you don't know, then how are you going to understand what's happening to you right now? Because quite literally, you're processing collective energy. There might be nothing going on with you in your life. You might be honky-dory, but you might be depressed and crying for a month, and you don't even know why. So go find out, number one. Number two, it's part of the evolutionary process. And if we wouldn't have been seated here, this planet wouldn't be waking up. We wouldn't be here because the prophecy was we weren't going to make it, remember? So these are topics that we really need to understand. And we really need to realize that I have a 9-year-old. And he'll tell you, if two things that I know he knows because I taught him. And one of them is, when there's good, there's always bad. When there's light, there's always dark. And that's what the Mars and Venus thing was about, Mars isn't bad. Mars got some bad qualities. Venus isn't bad. Venus got some bad qualities too, I can promise you. Had to get a giggle out of that. It's our perspective on it, and it's how we understand. And so in this lifetime for an RH negative, it's been pretty damn rough because number one, we didn't even know what it was, pre-computer most of my lifetime, half of it. So there wasn't any research. The research was banned because Draco didn't want us to know we were RH negative and what that meant, because that meant that we shared blood with them. And that meant that we have a little bit more, I don't want to say power because it's not the right word. We have some of the same characteristics that they do. And if the collective, which is all of us, figures out that we can have this same properties and that we can start learning how to use this new energy, then they're screwed. See, now the shift has happened, so there's really not much they can do about it. So then what happened with our community is that we started searching each other out because it was part of the plan. It's what we had to do. Since most people don't even know what their blood type is, most of the women are the only ones who even knew we were RH negative, and the only reason is because we had children. And if we go to the hospital and we die, or our baby dies, and they don't tell us we're RH negative, then they're getting sued. So again, it was about what? Cha-ching! So those of us women know we're RH negative. Most of you men don't even know. So what do we need to do? We need to gather together. So we gathered together, and that's where we were led. Each of us started down our little rabbit hole. We all kind of, ended up on these different Facebook sites. Thank you, Internet, another part of the evolution. We start talking about the different characteristics we have. RH negatives have morphing eyes. Typically, it is, your green to blue, your hazel eyes. If you've got, blue that turned green, that is like I'm morphing, I don't know if that's the right word, but they change. That's not a normal human quality. We've got some other little things too. I don't know if any of you are negatives. When I clean my ears, I cough. When I see somebody in pain, my legs and my feet start hurting really bad because empath is huge. You feel everything around you. You don't know how to get rid of your negative energy, right? I mean, we had to get together and figure this stuff out. Some of us did that. Some of us kept going with it, found teachers to help us get rid of these emotions and these things. Some of us are still stuck on these sites talking about these great gifts that we have, and we're not using them. And then some of us are passing judgment and starting to act like we're special because we have these gifts. Where there's good, there's bad. We didn't choose it. It's how we came here, in our soul, with these unique energy properties. So here's the big number one thing, and I'm sorry that this video is long, and I hope that you're still hanging out. You don't have to be an RH negative to experience ascension and awakening. We had to wake up first to lead. There's people that have been living on New Earth for 5 years. There are some people that took the shift in 2012, and those people for the past 5 years have been processing our energy to get us here. This isn't a me thing. It's not a you thing. This is an us thing. This is millions of years in the making. And I won't even go into the 144,000 because I think we've talked about enough right now, but I promise I will do that video this week and we'll pick up from here. If we continue to isolate one another, if we continue to think that we're better or think that we're not better, or put the O negatives in a group, put the A negatives in a group, put the AB negatives in a group, because trust me, we're all different. We got 250 Galactic Federation of Light, 250 star systems that have been reincarnating on this planet, a lot of us have Draco blood. But that doesn't mean that we're the Illuminati. Balance. We're bringing and restoring balance. We are all starseeds. We're from mixed races, and need to do some more videos on that. So I won't go there. We're all, but you're never, well, I'm not gonna say never. Most likely you are more than one, and that's another perception shift, because, you know, don't limit yourself to one. We are all one. We are all part of the golden ratio of love. And if you meet an RH negative, if you meet somebody who's gone through ascension or awakening, starseeds that have worked this process, no matter their blood, we love. It's why we get hurt so much. But guess what? That hurt is what woke us up. So it was part of the plan. So we are going to stop isolating each other. We are going to stop pointing fingers. We are going to overstand starseed lineage. We're going to overstand RH negative. We're going to overstand the bloodlines, because without that understanding and without that perception shift, then how are we going to be able to just get along here on the planet? Because bottom line, it don't matter if you're female, you're male, you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you're Mexican, you're adopted, you might have, you know, some disability, which is a whole nother topic. It don't matter, because we're all from up there and there and there and there and there, and our souls came here with one mission, and hell yeah, we're finally here to fulfill it. Could have been here for one life. Those people I love, the people that just nothing ever happens to them, that they're just happy all the time, they never overthink things. That's cool. I wish I was like that a lot of the time. But then there's those of us, you know, that... So, just try to remember this. And we'll keep talking about it. And I hope everything came out okay and clear. I really do, because this was a hard conversation for me to have, because of the old perception and the old energy that we're manifesting a change in right about meow. I love you guys. Sorry I kept you so long. Can I get a FYI, I got 528 hertz playing in the background, and if you're wondering what this is, because I just noticed it was in my hand. And if you're wondering what this is my healing toner. It's 432 hertz. Ooh, look how it changes the light. Isn't that cool? Energy, we're all energy. So this helps clean your energy field. Just, here, I'll let you listen. If you hung out till the end, I'll give you some vibes. I'm gonna find these, and everyone needs one, because it's hertz and frequencies without internet. And you take your phone right now and put it on each side of your head, it really tunes. So that's what this is, just letting you know. Can I get a hoot hoot one more time? I love you. If you made it to the end, then you got some healing vibes. I got 528 hertz playing in the background, and I put a Mercury hertz on my Facebook site, Cosmic Christy. Come check it out. I don't post a lot there, so you're not going to get bombarded, but I do post, you know, frequencies that are going on with planets and what's going on. So right now we got Mercury hanging out right, fixing to plop into Capricorn, at the Galactic Center, getting a little rewrites, So tuning in with Mercury right now is a great idea for all those new quantum conversations we'll be having in a very short time. See you later.